This is your invitation to Launchpreneur Academy Live 2023 in Novi, Michigan, Saturday, November 11th. The lineup is power-packed. You won't want to miss it. Learn from incredible speakers like Leroy Maines, Keith Kalfas, Caleb and Brittany Allman, Sam Gimble, Weston Zimmerman, and Jeff Joyner, just to name a few. Tickets are on sale now, and hurry because seating is limited to just 300.
Hey, what's up? It's Keith Kalfas. Get your tickets now for the 2023 Launchpreneur Academy Live.
Once you purchase your ticket, you'll be added to our private Facebook group where you can network with other attendees, get access to the discounted hotel room block, and get the inside scoop for the Friday night party brought to you by Kohler. Thank you to this year's sponsors, Xmart, Sure Track Trailers, Yard Book, and Boss Snowplow for helping to bring this incredible event to life. We can't wait to see you November 11th, Novi, Michigan, at Launchpreneur Academy Live 2023. Get your ticket today at launchpreneuracademy.com or use the link in the podcast description. Launchpreneur Academy Live.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. Well, guys, today we got a podcast episode that I'm very excited about bringing down the pike and having a returning guest, friends of the show, friends of Liz and I, and all-star golfer. That is Caleb Allman joining us from Allman HQ. How we doing, brother?
Dude, I'm about to go pro on the tour, I think, with golf after last outing. Played some of the better golf I've ever played, and that's not saying a lot, by the way. But dude, we're good, and you're such a professional with how you open your show and everything. Man, I should really take some notes.
I guess. Thank you, and not required because you guys are still pulling in some solid numbers, man. What, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month? Where you guys at on the Kid Contractor podcast?
We're hovering between 30 and 40, so it varies in the month, but around 35,000. We're no Fullerton Unfiltered by any stretch, but we're holding our own here, so we're happy.
Hey, big shoes to fill. Trying to operate in our shadow, but we're just trying to hold you down too at the same point. So that's
a dark shadow too.
It's you ever go to like a dark park, for camping? It's like that.
Yeah. It feels like that. It feels like that, Brian, living in your shadow. But I'll just ride your coattails anywhere I can. Yeah, whatever.
Hey, you might be in the shadow, but at least you're drafting, and that's got to do you something, right?
Right. Yeah.
Whatever, dude. I said to Liz earlier. I said, man, the three biggest sins in life, the old classics are, what do they say? Money or lust and pride. And I told Liz, I was just talking about people in general. And I said, I don't struggle, I feel like, with many of those three and at all. And Liz goes, none. And I go, no. I go, I don't think so. She goes, nothing about humility or ego. I go, no. I said, I'm the humblest guy you've ever met. And she goes, oh, okay. And so, of course, that warranted a whole fun conversation. But I just... Yeah,
that goes down another road. Yeah. So, it's being humble and proud of it is, it's a whole nother whole blow of wax. Brian, it makes me think of that movie Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino.
Classic.
From like the 90s or whatever. And
bro.
The ending scene of that's one of my favorite things. And the guy, Matrix guy, my gosh.
Keanu, yep.
Keanu, he just won that case or whatever and all that stuff. And he's got his life kind of back together or whatever. And Al Pacino, who is the devil in that movie, literally and figuratively. And he won that case and was feeling good about himself and all that. And Pacino's walking down the stairs and he says, my other favorite deadly sin, vanity. And I thought that was such a great line in that show after, he had just turned the corner, but still the vanity was creeping back in. It was just a great scene. I loved it. So anyways, whatever.
Yeah, well, great scene from a great movie. I mean, talk about some classics from the 80s and 90s, right? Pacino was, hate him or love him. He was doing a pretty good job back in the day. I still remember that movie is really good. And then with Keanu also, the movie Constantine, that was a good one. And then, just some of these like not mainstream maybe type movies, but that devil's advocate, the greatest trick that devil ever pulled was convincing the world it didn't exist. That whole line, and it's a classic. But
I love that.
So definitely nothing that I struggle with here. Obviously, pulling these.
Yeah, my gosh.
Pulling these huge numbers. Obviously super successful. Whatever, dude. Just we're so dorks, dude. Look, here's actually the conversation today. Hard pivot is I want to talk about the Hardscape Academy. I know this might sound a little different for some of you guys listening into the show, because normally when we get familiar friends or friends on the show, and I don't just say like friend, like I feel like we're a good couple friends with Caleb and Brittany Allman. They're great people, class act people. They got a bunch of great stuff going on, and they'll humbly tell you that they're not perfect. They don't have it all figured out. If you guys want to hear a little bit more about that, I would invite you to come to LAL in just a week and a half here. They're going to be sharing, which is just incredible. So what I do want to talk about though is they've got a great resource out in the community and the industry. And Caleb did not ask me, hey, sales are, slumping down. Can we get a little promo from the Fullerton train? Okay. It wasn't like that.
You're right. I begged and pleaded. You're right. I didn't ask.
Well, and then once the check cleared, I knew you were serious, Well,
I'm amazed that happened too, but that's great.
Yeah. By the way, it cleared and then it also bounced on the same day. So I don't know how that works. All right. Listen, you and I will do this for 45 minutes and we got like 20.
I'm here to derail the show and I know you got a timeline.
No, that's the funny part. Like you and I will get on here. We'll start talking about philosophy and Jordan Peterson. It's like the same thing when I get on the phone with Kelfus. It's like, it starts off with one business question. The next thing you know, we're like, there's 7 layers to the subconscious mind and your soul and how it equates to the equilibrium of the universe. And I'm like,
that's definitely a Calfusism without a doubt.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep it a little X and O's. Because I told Caleb, I said, hey, when's the last time you guys did an actual podcast about the Hardscape Academy? Because Caleb's a very value add oriented individual, and I mean that in all sincerity. Like if you guys listen to his podcast, if you guys listen to his Instagram stories, especially, I genuinely believe, and I say this many a times to folks like Caleb and Brittany, I said, you guys have been contracting for so long. And the old line, I said, you guys have forgot more than most people will ever know. And I know they're not a finished product. I know they're reinventing themselves every day with their company, Allman Landscape. But I will tell you what, like they have a lot of great knowledge and a lot of great insight and foresight about what, past, present, future is going on with the industry. And it takes some balls to put some content out there as contractors, because everybody's got their own 2 cents. Everybody's got their approach. There are best practices, but there's, quote unquote, 100 different ways to skin a cat. Look, when I'm putting out training courses about snow removal or lawn care or how to make tall grass short or how to sling mulch, very, very simple stuff in my opinion, and that skill set and that approach. But when you're talking about contracting and landscaping and hardscaping, like no 2 jobs are alike. So I exceedingly revere the fact that you guys put out content and you guys try to help people navigate that chasm of like being successful contractors, because it's significantly more challenging, in my opinion, than just maybe somebody who's a mowing guy or a landscape enhancements guy, doing some simple planting. So all that being said, I told Caleb, I said, hey, selfishly, can I get you on the podcast for 20, 30 minutes? I want to talk about the Hardscape Academy and just the Allman Landscape brand in general, about your guys' social media endeavors, over the last couple of years, and really like, where did this all come from? So Caleb, a lot of words, just to volley it back to you to say, one, if you want to get maybe these people up to speed about who you guys are and where you're coming from. But telling you what, is we always say 50,000, foot overview zooming out. I want like the 2-mile zoom out, from the stratosphere. Like, where did this all come from, man? Like, how did you guys get started doing the social media aspect of things? Because I think people just take it for granted that you guys have just, quote unquote, always been here.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's. I'll have to think about that a little more. It's funny. It's one of those things for what our little, as Johnny Cash says, our empire of dirt here. It's turned into something that, again, we're no brides on maintenance, on YouTube or anything, but we're building our own little thing here. And that was never, like you starting out, never the intention to grow an audience or build it up. It was just putting stuff out there to share it. And my big driving thing has always been to help help other contractors and guys and gals out there trying to figure it out, like not make the same terrible mistakes I've made in business and in contracting and all that. And I don't know. I mean, my foreman, Mr. Bo, he started an Almond Landscape Instagram account like forever ago, like a long, long time ago.
Okay.
And it kind of built up, and at the time it got up to like 2,000 or 3,000 followers. And this was, dude, I don't know, 8-9 years ago. I have no idea. It was a long time ago. And I didn't really understand it at that time, but he's like, dude, and he just posts pictures of work he was doing for the company at the time on there. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I don't understand what it is, but long story short, kind of like on the social media end of things, you know, I've been in contracting for 20 years now, built and crashed my own company. You know, a lot of people in life that are successful say I built and sold my first company. Well, I built and crashed my first company. You know, not something a lot of people, you know, not a credential a lot of folks can actually claim. So I built and crashed my first company within 10 years from when I was a kid, and then started a new company, but which is whatever figure of success you want to call success now. I'd say our company's successful to whatever we value success as. We got a long ways to go yet still too, but man, Brian, I got a sneeze coming on. I can tell it. I'm trying to fight this thing off. So,
well, let me cover for you really quick. Like
well, let me, I think I beat it. Hold on. I think I got to beat it.
What do they say? Like, so, look down if you don't want to sneeze, and look up if like at a light or the sun if you want to sneeze. So,
well, I look up the sun all the time.
Oh my God.
Remember that
for no reason other than it's Tuesday.
Ferrell, Harry Carey sketch they did back in the days. Like Will Ferrell do Harry Carey. He's like, one time I stared at the sun for 3 hours. I didn't see anything. Whatever. I got nothing. Now when I stare at the sun, it stays with me for 2 hours. I think I'm getting older, and I'm like, let's not do that again. You know, because I see like a dark blue, halo for about 3 weeks. So trying to know you're not supposed to stare at the sun, but I could be.
Yeah.
Now welding, no hood needed. You're good.
Oh, you got the safety squints. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you're good.
That is the safety squint is a thing. So like I stumbled on Snapchat a long time ago, and right around that too, this app called Periscope.
Oh yeah. And what is Periscope? What is Periscope? I hear you mention this, reference it once in a while.
The greatest live streaming app that ever was.
Clearly.
And unfortunately it didn't catch. Well, I can't help it. Nobody else had vision, Brian, like I did, to jump on Periscope at the time. But it was a live streaming app, and it was the best one out there ever.
Okay.
And it streamed well. The video quality was always really good, and audio was always. I just loved it. And this own little community on Periscope kind of opened up, and I got on there just somehow. I can't remember how I got turned on to that exactly, but I just started doing these live broadcasts on job sites and started talking about and the same thing with Snapchat, right about the same time. But I just be like sharing stuff that like, hey, this tree, this is something interesting, and I would just kind of journal, literally as a video journal before I even realized that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like video journaling of just like dorky horticulture stuff I came across, of bug infestations and landscape problems and things I saw that I liked in landscapes and all that. And it just kind of kept going. Then this Instagram thing came around, and then I started my own and just kept doing the same thing. And, you start to network with people, and it just kind of grew up, and then we started telling more of our personal story of like how I crashed my first company and what led to that and what you should do if you're willing to. And, the wise man learns from the fool's experience, they say. So, listen to this fool if you count yourself as having any sort of wisdom, and, make sure you're, tracking your numbers and make sure you're actually charging enough to live and make money and, all that surface level stuff. And we just kept going and going. And then, look back or look forward. And then all of a sudden we have a podcast, and we're building a YouTube channel, and, we're doing, Instagram stories every day, and all that's part of the social media thing, as well as like we're still pushing out on the Almond Landscape, to promote the company stuff as well on more of our Facebook page. So it's just been a long journey, like, all too well. And it's just still the overarching narrative is just trying to help people not make the same mistakes I did in business over the years, and still do from time to time. We still underbid jobs and screw stuff up and way underestimate man hours and get killed on some projects here and there now, and then we crush them. We we crush project here and there, and we talk about that. So the wins and losses and all that, the deal.
Well, so an interesting conversation there is I listened to your podcast, a bunch of other great hardscape, landscape guys podcasts. I fit them in when I can. Between either a workout, a run, if I happen to run to the store, just a 7-minute commute down the road, call it net time, no extra time. My car does not move unless a podcast is playing. Period, case closed. It does not move. Liz and I will be running 5 minutes late, and I'll be 6 minutes late because I'm going to get the podcast player moving, because the car doesn't move if the podcast player isn't moving, because it's net time. I could be growing my brain. And you guys, I forget the stat, but after a couple years in your car, it's a 4-year education. And I've consumed probably 1,500 podcast episodes, along the way.
Yeah.
So, but what,
Brian,
go ahead.
If I could interrupt you on your own show, because, it's my podcast now, or whatever.
I am the captain now.
Yeah, I am the podcaster now. So last night, yesterday was a hectic day. Our daughter was showing goats at the fair. It was just hectic and full of adrenaline and all sorts of fun stuff. And when I feed animals, I've got a quarter horse and chickens and all this stuff at the house, rabbits that the kids talk me into and all this stuff. And so I'll go and feed animals, or the kids will help, whatever. But last night, I always turn on a podcast while I'm doing my chore, feeding and doing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And last night, it was just I started turning on podcasts. I was just man, I just need quiet. I just need I was in town all day. It was just crazy. When do you ever find yourself just needing quiet? And what's that like for you when you do, if you ever do take actually some quiet time?
I do love quiet time. I need about 30 seconds of it about once every 3 months, and I'm good to go.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not a quiet time kind of guy. There's magic in the mornings. I do like the peace and quiet of a 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. maybe before the kids get up, and life is just pandemonium, obviously, after that.
Isn't it weird saying kids also, by the way? Dude,
it's insane, bro. Life is so different. But I will tell you what, getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning and beating the rush of everybody else, that's pretty much your only window once you frankly have kids forward. So
yeah, right.
I do like that 4 or 5 a.m. for quiet time. Liz and I say all the time lately, it is a 1-to-1 or 1-to-5. It's a 1-to-1 ratio of productivity between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. And it is a 1-to-0.5 productivity ratio once the world is up and attacking you.
Right.
And that's just a fact. So Liz and I find a lot of merit in waking up early, showering, maybe getting a workout in, getting a breakfast in. If we can shooting 20 emails off, if we can get all that done by 6:30, the rest of the day goes so much better. But if you wake up at 7 with the kids, with the family, it's kind of a laissez-faire morning, you don't get anything ready to go until about 2 p.m. It's freaking insane. So I think quiet time is kind of like a compliment for me. I forget who said it, but I can go another 30 days with a sentence of praise. For me personally, I just need someone to say something nice about me once in a while. I'm good to go. And it's the same thing with quiet time. I need about 30 seconds to find a little appreciation and humility in the day or in the week, the month. And, after that I go, damn, life is so good. I'm so thankful. And then it's yeah, but it can be better. And I'm a junkie that way. I just want to improve my life and people's life around me,
Yeah, I can.
But, let me circle back, because it kind of goes full circle to what I was saying earlier is, all that podcasting, all that content that you guys put out there, a common phrase that you guys have said and many other people have said, well, I've lost money on a job and that job went sideways, or I can't believe what happened. And to be totally fair, other than maybe misquoting a price on a lawn, you don't really lose money on a lawn as long as it's priced correctly. I've never had a job where I'm mowing a lawn go sideways or lose $5,000, So I like to say what we do is very similar, but man, I will tell you, what you and Josh and Scheller and Mulder and many, many more, and so many others that I don't even know that have great content out there that I haven't even stumbled upon yet. You guys turned me on to so many great shows. It's very similar, but it's very, very different. And I just love learning nuances. I always say, listen to the podcast all day. It's not like you're looking for the 2x4 across the face in terms of a new idea, philosophy, concept, strategy, tactic. It's usually those micro nuances that make or break your business. And I always say death by 1,000 paper cuts. So I'm not listening to every podcast going dude, give me the sauce. But I am looking for that 1% or that 1/4% or that 1/10% to just dial it in. Next time I have a customer interaction or a sales interaction or a employee situation. And I hope I, continuously add value to our podcast every episode that we bring out in that regard. But I know you guys do for sure. Whether you know it or not, like, again, you've forgot more than other people will ever know. And what you say just, flippantly in a good way, to me, I'm going, oh, I never would have thought about that or considered that because I haven't crossed that road or that bridge, or I don't do what you guys do. But I'd love to know, in case I ever get into that, or if I ever cross that road or bridge, whether it's the size of my business or the number of employees or a phase of life or a season of life later. You guys are kind of like that next step ahead in many, many, many areas for Liz and I. So I'm always like, hey, I don't want to step on that landmine or disregard that or estimate my opponent or that kind of stuff. So that's what I feel like I get a lot out of your guys' show, a lot of your guys' content. Let me ask you this. The Hardscape Academy, that's what I really wanted to focus on and kind of dial in a little bit. Give me some timelines here. You got the company for 17 years. You've been on social, sounds like for at least a decade, plus or minus. I don't know when, Snap and Periscope were, trending and all that mess. I kind of missed the Snap and even the Facebook days to a degree. I just wasn't a big social media guy, ironically enough. But when did you realize that there was an opportunity to serve some people, maybe generate a source of income, help the next guy out? A little bit more meat and potatoes is what I always say, is like the courses, the contracts, the resources. When did the Hardscape Academy idea incepted into your mind? You and Brittany both, maybe, or was it a separate conversation? Like, how'd that work?
Well, first off, I've been on Snapchat so long. When I started, it was in black and white on the app. It was really, really a long time ago. The Hardscape Academy was one of these things. It started out as actually just kind of what we called the How to Install brand. And so we were getting all these questions on Instagram and Snapchat and all stuff, and Periscope. People just DM us like, hey man, I got this going on with a patio I want to build, or I'm building, or whatever. And just started answering a lot of DMs and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I wish there was a video that just had everything. And there was a lot of great resources out then still at the time too, but I wish I had a place where just all of the kind of ominisms and like all of, kind of our philosophy on things, like one place I could just send people to be, kind of send all these answers. And I'm like, I think we're going to make a video, like a training video on paver installs that would be easily accessible to, people are asking us these questions or whatever. And so Britt and I rented, this is like the coolest startup story, because it's not exactly like, well, it is like my initial startup story, but of both companies, the landscape companies, one I crashed and one we're running well now. But I'm like, okay, we're going to do like a 10 by 10 paver patio install just down in the like open part of my yard at the house. And we'll bring all our equipment and we're just going to video and talk our way through this whole install process. And like, we went and rented a camera, it was a digital SLR, but we literally rented the camera and some audio, and bought some audio gear, like a lavalier mic or whatever it's called. And we just like started going through this thing and shot this. And this was back before like live streaming was really much of a thing. And so we produced this and put it on DVD. And
you put it on what?
Yeah, no kidding,
no,
right?
It's like
CDs, like DVD.
The joke used to be CD, but now it's almost DVD, Jeez, oh, peace.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, that's over with. Like, it's so crazy. And so we would like promote this thing called the How to Install Pavers, like training video or whatever. And it was $99. And somebody would like say, hey, I want one. And we would do like a credit card transaction through DMs, essentially. It's like, or we had like an Etsy account or something crazy.
Nothing sketchy there, 10 years ago.
I know. Right? Well, what was funny is we had somebody buy one in Dubai.
Look,
literally Dubai.
Hold on. I was going to say 10, 15 years ago, you guys make a DVD on building hardscaping and landscaping and retaining walls, and you see the transformation over Dubai on those time-lapse videos 10, 15 years later. Look, I
figured it out. Yeah.
You and I are big correlation versus what's the saying? Causation. Yeah, correlation versus causation. I'm just saying, bro. Look, like the DVD went overseas, and look at Dubai today. Okay, you got to take 1% credit for that. Okay,
the Sheik of pavers. Yeah, there's Paver Pete and Paver King and all these guys. I'll just be Paver Sheik.
That's the title of the podcast right there. The Ayatollah of Pavers. That's the podcast title.
Hopefully it doesn't get. Hopefully that's not offensive or something. But yeah. I
was gonna say I always hope like one of my like wishes is like, hey, maybe like my content goes overseas and then some like Sheik is like, hey, I will pay off your house and pay off everything because those guys who have like the oil money, and like one time I saw like a reel like Lil Wayne getting like inconvenienced at the private airport and. The Ayatollah or whoever those guys are, I don't know. He was like Lamborghini or Ferrari, and did you ever see that reel? By the way,
no.
Like he got stopped for his jewelry at like some airport, and it like made it all the way up to the chain to like the prince or whatever, and he called him or something and said Lamborghini or Ferrari, and Lil Wayne's telling the story, and he's like, I thought it was just a general question. He's like, I guess Lamborghini. And like by the time he got home, there's a new Lamborghini in his driveway like 2 weeks later for the inconvenience. And so if anybody wants to have like the Fully Unfiltered podcast that goes out there and somebody's a big fan and wants to pay off my mortgage, like holler at your boy, okay? Or buy out 100 lawnmowers from me at Weingart's, okay? Like, we'll take this thing to 10 million tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So, but I digress.
All day. All day.
So somebody.
I don't know. But yeah, so we started selling these things on DVD, and we literally ship them all over the country and even the world. Like we shipped a couple, international or whatever. I'm not just talking Canada,
like Alabama.
And
I get it.
And so like we did it. We're like, okay, with a camera rental, and we paid our guys to stand around for 2 days. I mean, it was like a full blown like movie,
film crew.
Movie set.
Yeah, film crew.
Yeah, I mean, it was like whatever. And so it was kind of cold, and it snowed on the second day. So the second day there's like snow around and all this crazy stuff. But we also use that to say like, this is contracting. This is what happens. Like there's things that's going to happen on job sites you don't know and navigate through and all that. And it was really cool. And so we put that out for a while. And the kind of the thing is like, well, if we sell enough of these to cover our costs, recover the camera rental and our guys' labor, like how cool would that be? That'd be pretty cool, right? Break even, that'd be pretty neat. And then wow, if we made enough to pay the mortgage for 1 month, how cool would that be? How wild. And it kept going and going. And like then we're like, well man, enough people are buying the thing. Maybe we actually ought to put together like a legit production, because it was kind of grainy and we screwed up the aperture settings. So it was a little grainy and the lighting wasn't awesome. And so finally we're like, okay, we ought to actually do one that's actually like pretty legit. And so we found like the right property to build a small little patio on again, and had really good lighting, really good audio. And we came out with the new version, and that became the actual Hardscape Academy. And that's when we put out retaining wall videos and all sorts of stuff like that. But, we were kind of just learning our way through it. But the idea was like giving, especially guys in lawn care that were looking to pivot or add, hardscape construction and hardscape services to their mix. That was like what we were trying to help those guys figure out, because a lot of them have like enough, experience to run, a mini skid steer or a mini excavator or a bobcat or skid steer or whatever, to like, this is kind of a no-brainer to be able to add a garden planting wall around the side of Grandma Herfenerbler's house or whatever. And so we want to teach like at least the basic principles in all in one place of like how to learn to do that stuff and add a revenue, source to it. And in the meantime, the video turns out to be 2.5 hours long, because I just tried to condense it, and I'm just like, no, this is important, and this is important, and this is important. And so we just went super deep, man, just like hardcore deep in this thing. And it's just what we did. So it's kind of turned into this thing now. We have live in-person trainings at our facility here in Ohio, in Central Ohio. And it turned into something we totally just did not plan on doing. It was, you know what I mean? It's just weird how that stuff snowballs, and now it's turned into something, and now we're keeping it rolling, so that's the idea.
Did you guys perceive it to be as well received, broadly speaking, as the impact it's made in the core sales, I guess, broadly speaking? But then number two, follow-up question, the folks that were purchasing or buying it, was it more you thought like your peers would be purchasing it, or more guys that are looking to branch off, like you said, from mowing possibly to an add-on service to pavers?
I would say way more in the lines of guys wanting to branch off into it. And like one of the coolest feedbacks I ever got, which was actually at a LA. This is the great segue. An LAL event 2 or 3 years ago. This dude came up to me and was like, "Hey man, I've been following your stuff and watching your training." And he's like, "Dude, we did I forget the number. It's like $60,000 extra dollars in hardscaping this year because we were learning from your courses or whatever." It's like,
wow,
dude, that is so awesome to know. He's like, "So yeah, we've like, it was just the coolest thing to know you helped someone like boost their income." You know what I mean? It was just the neatest thing. It's like, whoa, we were instrumental in like helping him forward his family. You know what I mean? It was just the neatest thing to be part of. And I'm forever grateful anytime we get that kind of feedback. It's super cool. But, yeah. So yeah, that was a really cool thing of like how it was received. And then you've always got the detractors, of course, of like, "Oh, who do you think you are? You think you're Paver Pete? You think you're, whatever."
Sure.
And it's like, well, no, but we're doing our own thing over here. So, yeah, and that's whatever. And so you can't pay any mind to that kind of stuff, whatever. But, it has been, I'd say, well received. It's cool. It's flattering.
Well, let me ask you this. This would be a fun conversation here, and not to take the whole morning, because I got another 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes left, but
I was going to say they had 7 minutes left. So, okay, whatever you got.
I got told about noon, but I'm going to go a little long because I want to get these 2 last questions in. We know what, to a degree, what Hardscape Academy is. It's a course and resources for those getting started with retaining walls, pavers, patios, all that fun stuff. Two-part question I want to ask here, and I know this is a pressing conversation, and you can go as heavy as you want. It's unfiltered, so if people don't like it, it's not my problem. It's just the truth. But number one is, what is the Hardscape Academy not, right? Like what else are you still supplementing with, like live events or the podcast? Like there's still those nuances I would imagine is part of that answer, like the backfill. So we know what the Hardscape Academy is, but what is the Hardscape Academy not? But then number two, there's a lot of folks out there spitting out advice, and you already know where I'm going to go. And we've seen some of those folks, what's it say? Like once the tide goes out, you get to see who's skinny dipping. Right. You play with snakes, you're going to eventually get bit. I could do analogies all day on this. And, you throw your seed up on soil and it grows fast and it gets choked out. You build your house on sand, all these different things. And I'm not naming anybody's name. I'm not naming anybody's names either. A lot of the folks that are out there that are putting out content, I'm actually buds with. I like them. They're cool. I'm fine with that. But you do have to be a fruit inspector. And, there are certain philosophies out there that may or may not translate from one industry to the next. So Caleb, what is the Hardscape Academy philosophy? What is your guys' approach as you guys approach contracting, broadly speaking? And then, the folks that have fell by the wayside, I'm sure they're probably okay people, maybe bad business practices, but maybe they're just bad people that also had bad business practices. Any thoughts on the above and what maybe separates or differentiates Almond Landscape and, the Hardscape Academy, broadly speaking?
Man, that's a crazy question. I feel like a politician being asked how, prove that you can be trusted, right?
Right.
Like, holy crap, what a question. The way I'll answer that question, I guess, is you're exactly right. In being the staunch libertarian that I am, is like every person is responsible for their own decisions. And so like you have to use your own discernment when you buy any product or you consult with anyone and find multiple sources. I've never said the Hardscape Academy is the be all end all of information. People come to our in-person trainings and I tell them, you need to go to the Techo Block contractor showcases. You need to go to the Unilock contractor showcases. You need to go to ICPI trainings. You don't just, your whole career is not just based off one learning experience. And if it is, shame on you. And it's kind of like going to college and doing that and then never going to any extended training ever and not knowing why your career is not growing. You're not going to any seminars, any training, any webinars, anything. Like it's got to be about constant growth. So we're working on being a one-stop shop, but I still would never say don't not go to. I'm going to Unilock and Techo stuff this winter. I still go to all this crap any chance I can. Because I'm just a dork. That's what. Find who is it that says, Brian, find what you love and let it kill you or whatever. Like I was thinking about that the other day of find what you love and let it kill you. So try a hardscape project before you rip everything. Don't go 10x into debt and whatever. I'm not against using debt to get into stuff. I'm just saying be smart about it. And I think where we come from is, and what we do our best is to come from a place of being positioned in the real world where you're going to lose money on jobs. You're going to have clients that are a total pain and nightmare in any line of work. And then us ourselves, Almond and the Hardscape Academy, Almond Landscape, Kid Country Bus, we do our darndest to come across from a place of humility and not be too flashy and base it all about, money and, fancy anything or everything. And I got nothing against that stuff. I like fancy stuff. I like fancy meals. I like nice cars. I like nice trucks. But at the end of the day, that's not what life is about. To me, at least, it's not what I base my value in life off of. So I guess, that's kind of our stance. And if your values align with that, cool, whatever. But it doesn't mean, being flashy is bad or anything. But we do our darndest to come across and to convey, being humble and doing a quality project and doing good work and being honest and all that stuff, whatever. That's what we are, I guess. What aren't we? I think we're trying to provide as much information on, like, we have a thing called Hardscape Mastery coming up. Our first one sold out. Our second one's in March, first and second. And it's got Jeremy Swihart and Andy Mulder co-hosting with us, with Brittany and I, and we're going a super deep dive into business.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that, by the way.
It's going to be awesome.
I bought a ticket. I bought a ticket.
I didn't know if you were serious about that or not.
Hell yeah, buying a ticket. Yeah, I am. You're mentally deficient if you don't think I'm not going to get around Caleb, Andy, and I don't even know Jeremy, to be honest. I think I follow him on IG, but $3,000 or whatever it is. I told Liz, and she goes, are you sure? I go, yeah. I said, what if we want to get into all this stuff? Where else are you going to get? What if they never did it again? What if they all got, hit by a bus? And that's always my extreme. And now that went to the grave. I said, I'd love to capture as much as I can from that. And she's like, all right, if it's important to you, it's important to us, and go get a ticket. And hell yeah, are you kidding me? And then you guys are doing another one. I was like, how it did not sell out yet? I get it, but
yeah, there's only 10 spots left out of 20. We're keeping the groups really small, but if you go to Mulder on Instagram and J Squared on Instagram, and see what those guys are doing. And a lot of people want to figure out, those guys are doing a lot of right stuff, and a lot of it through trial and error, and a lot of it through a great business mentality and acumen. And we're kind of putting together a group. We're going to talk about that all weekend. Andy's accountant is coming. It's like, that's going to be intense. So what we're really working on doing is, and one of the next things we're working on getting put out, we're going to do a pool install training, and that's going to be again with the greats that on Instagram, and maybe a couple you don't. So what we're not trying to be everything to everyone, but what we are trying to do is get everyone to be everything. To get everyone. How do I want to say that? What we are trying to do is get something for everyone, really, I guess, at the end of the day, but sure, with the people that are legit and credentialed and trustworthy for the advice they're going to give, that people are going to pay good, hard-earned money for. Right. Like we want to sell this stuff. Heck yeah, absolutely. We'd be silly business people if we didn't. But but what we have to do at the end of the day is we have to deliver value. It has to be worth the time. The ROI is based off the reviews that we get, right? Like if people say, yeah, we went to that and it wasn't that great, well, whatever. We've got to put the people in this thing that know what they're talking about and only do the highest quality of work and have the highest standards for their installs. And like our pool install thing, that's not going to be led by me. I don't know enough about that stuff, but the people we are going to have lead that are going to be killers in their field that know that. And you want to come learn from these guys. I promise you. So what we're not is super broadly based in the landscape construction field, but we're getting there, and that's what we want to do. But what I can tell you is we're not flashy, and we're not, maybe we brag a little here and there about doing some really nice work and nice projects, whatever. But we still, try to come across as a humble contractors, whatever. But still with the emphasis on quality work and with quality people coming in to lead all that training. So that's kind of the mantra here, I suppose, our totem, if you will.
I love it. I think you guys are, if I had to add not that you need a +1, is you guys are very rooted. You have your heart in the right place, your business philosophy in the right place. You have a track record. And I don't think everybody out there putting out content has a track record. Or if they do have a track record, what kind of track record do they have? And I did a podcast, I think it was episode 2 or 3, and it was important to me that number 1 on our podcast, Liz is a Nice Story, because that's, of course, going to be the number 1 downloaded podcast because everybody goes to the back at the beginning. But then number 2, the podcast that it is, who are you listening to? And I always said, and I learned this, and it said, anytime somebody's putting out advice, you have to look at what is their credibility and what is their agenda. So 2 litmuses for when you look at somebody and try to listen to them or hook your caboose to them. What is their agenda and what is their credibility? And I will look at Caleb and Brittany Allman and I will put them up with as good as anybody who are the better or the great contractors and say, I know their agenda. I know their credibility. The agenda is you helping you win, and the credibility is that they've been doing this for 2 decades, and they've not only hit the highs, they've hit the lows and came back to hit the highs. And I just get a little wary, I just struggle sometimes with folks, because anybody can do it with a podcast mixer and an Instagram, with folks that put out content that are 18, 19, 20. It's no shade on anybody who's younger, but for the love of God, how much life could you learn at 18, 19, 20? And some of you have lived a lot of life, but it's hard to live a lot of life and have a lot of business contractor experience under your belt. There's just not enough time in the day to be able to be a guru when you're 15, 18, 19 years old. It's just not a thing. So I'm not saying you can't learn from those folks, but do not let that person be the last thing that you learn from or the final things you learn from. And a lot of that has crumbled because some people are building their house on sand because, again, how much could you know at 18, 19, 20? And it's no shade to anybody younger. It's just the truth. Whether you like it or not, I don't care. Ruffle some feathers, it's fine. Shoot me a DM. I don't care. I'll delete it. But I'm just telling you guys right now, like Caleb and Brittany, they're rooted, and I really love their philosophy about business, life. And are they perfect? No. But they have a pretty well-balanced life with family life, and everything that they got going on outside of the company. Okay, so I just want to give a quick plug and a little nod there because I think sometimes that gets overlooked, like you said, Caleb, because of the highlight reel on social media. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
Anything you want to add on that? But if not, I want to shift gears. I got one last question for you, and then we'll button it up.
I do want to poke poke at you on a theory on that I have on the young gurus or whatever, but that may be a whole nother podcast. So go ahead with whatever to wrap this thing up.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's no shortage of you and I getting on the podcast and pontificating. So another one for another time. So
yeah.
Last one I have, and I think this is an easy fastball. You can knock it out of the park. It's not a trick question. Talking about the future of education.
In other words, total trick question, and I'm totally getting set up here. Oh God.
No. I don't do that. I don't ask questions.
No, never.
Don't ask questions you don't know the answers to, right? Isn't that what they say?
That you don't want to know the answer to. Yeah.
There you go. So talking about, you talk about this on your podcast, but to share with our audience, our platform, I know not everybody carries over to each show. I'm a big advocate, and I love where you're coming with this about the future of education. It's probably going to get deregulated or whatever you want to call it from just the university setting or maybe a college environment. So the Hardscape Academy, Launchpreneur Academy, there's a bunch of great folks out there that are putting out good content. No shade to anybody. You can learn from everybody, folks. And even if you don't want to hook your caboose up, you can still learn probably 1,000 nuances from that person's group or mastermind or gang or club or whatever. Okay. That's all awesome. That's all great. That did not exist. Caleb, I don't know, what would you say? Maybe 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago.
Right.
So before that, if you want to be a contractor, you had a couple options: go to college or pick up the everybody's favorite, the hot sheets, at Lowe's or Home Depot, from Black & Decker back in the day, helping you install your first patio retaining wall, how to sharpen a lawnmower blade. Like that's where folks went for education. It sounds weird, but it's just the truth. So I want to kick this back over to you. 5-minute kind of close out the show. 2 kind of conversations there. What was education like back in the day? And then where do you think the education for your field, my field, is going to be going over the next couple of years? Is it college or die? Or do you feel like folks like Tigre and yourself and Mulder and a couple other great guys that are putting out great content, is that going to be a little bit more of the future of where these young guys are going to come up on to learn the trade, learn the craft?
Or I think you hit on it earlier, the no extra time or whatever is Windshield University and that kind of stuff. Like, I think for the people that want to kill it, that's where the future of things. There's always the need for college, all that stuff. And let me go backwards. Where my first foray into landscaping, I was at Lowe's and I bought a book. You mentioned Black & Decker, and ironically enough, literally by Black & Decker.
Okay.
It was like how to install landscaping or something like that. And I looked at that and studied the specs. And that's one thing. I sucked at school. Like, I was no good at school, but like, I looked at that book and was just a sponge and was like, hell yeah, this is sweet. Like, I want to build this thing. And I built my first retaining wall off a set of specs from a Black & Decker book that I bought at the checkout literally at Lowe's back in the day. And that was 20 plus years, 22, 23 years ago at least. And yeah. And so everything was definitely all, print at the time, right? So books, the library, and some technical school training, stuff like that. That was the thing. And really the internet was just starting to be a thing. And then even prior to that, post that was forums were kind of the thing. And then now all this crazy social media stuff. So that's kind of, where I started out. And then I did go to 2-year school, which was an awesome program, Columbus State and Landscape Design Build program. Ate that up. I just loved the general ed stuff. I didn't enjoy it. I had a couple of history classes that I enjoyed, but which I've always enjoyed history, whatever. But the great Landscape Design Build program, and I would advise anybody, if you're into that and you're going to put into it what it's worth, or put into it what it deserves, I think you can garner a lot. Because I knew guys that went to that program and came out still with horrible design mindsets, or didn't understand like the concepts of groupings and plantings and how to actually arrange plantings for a natural look and all that kind of stuff. And so it is always what you're going to get out of it and what your drive is going into it. And so but from there, it was just always going to other trainings and nursery days and just anything I could to learn stuff. And the one thing about this too, Brian, I was thinking about this the other day of like, that is what I focused all of my learning on pretty much, when I was, as they say, cutting my teeth in the industry. And I wish I'd have balanced that out a little more with a lot of the stuff you really put emphasis on early in your career of contracting and your professional career, even prior to that, was like you really learned a lot about sales and interactions with sales dynamics and things like that. And I wish I had at least sprinkled more of that in because I went heavy on because I'm going through some training stuff right now, some sales training stuff right now. And a lot of stuff I'm learning, stuff you already know and have known for a long time. So I'm always amazed by your competency with, handling deals and things like that. And that's something I'm really finally drilling into that I should have been better at way earlier in my career. So, I'm still working on, getting better at stuff and educating myself and things and honing skills and all that kind of stuff. So for me, that's the trajectory of what education is. As far as like traditional college and all that kind of stuff, I saw a thing today, actually. A university here in Ohio actually cut 18 majors, degrees that they were offering. It was a lot of like French, speaking and stuff like that. So, it's a lot of stuff that's kind of, but they cited the reason was dwindling enrollment.
Okay.
And I don't know, the financing of college is getting different. So I think those things are all going to shift, and podcasts still continue to be growing. And I think really ultimately with the internet and all that stuff, and a lot more trade schools. And again, there's, like you said, Entrepreneur Academy and Hardscape Academy and tons of other, there's a lot of places to get information. And I think what employers, especially in a low employment job market, employers are really looking for people that have better attitudes and are trainable. And then even still just people that just exhibit some sort of competency, not necessarily a degree on paper. And so that metric seems to maybe be shifting of competency is worth more than a degree now, potentially. So I don't know.
What do you think Caleb Allman of, like you said, 20 years ago, 17, 18, junkie learning about hardscaping, what do you think you would have done if you had access to like the Hardscape Academy or Mulder Lives on Sunday nights, so on and so forth?
Oh man. I mean, the same thing I was doing, just in a different format, right? I mean, I was going to all this in-person stuff, and I still do, but I would like to think that if it was an accounting class or something stupid, Caleb probably wouldn't have attended it, which would have done him a lot of good, unfortunately. But on the technical end of it, I would love to think I would be visiting and going to it. I went to so much paver training stuff back in the day. It's crazy. And landscape training. And so, I would love to think I would capitalize on anything available to me now. So, from digital to still in person and stuff even kind of cross. I mean, if there was a plumbing training day or a drainage training day at a supplier, I would go to that. And I spent a lot of time just dorking out on this stuff. But that's, again, find what you love and let it kill you. Well, it nearly did once. So, I mean, that's what I did. So that's just me. That's what drives me, like what drives you and each of your listeners. They've got things that drive them, and hopefully they're working on letting it kill them too. And I mean, and folks, so I'm not taking literally, what I mean, but I mean, let it consume you. Like, let your passion consume you for whatever you're doing, and the money will follow, I believe. Yeah.
Well, I have this conversation many times with Liz. Call it imposter syndrome, call it, mentally retarded, or call it mentally deficient, whatever. I just don't know so many different things in contracting. I'm like, how do you know that stuff? Where would you even look? How would you even start? And folks are like, well, you should just like GC your own build for your home. I go, that sounds like a great way to let $1 million on fire. That'll be, I said, that's a great Burning Man conversation. Okay. And I think they already do that in Vegas or whatever, Nevada. Okay. That is not what we're doing here. I am so impressed with so many guys that have that technical knowledge about contracting, X's and O's and all that stuff. I don't know too much, broadly speaking, about plant health, turf health, rhizomes. I did a stint at TrueGreen. They gave me the 3A book and the 2B farming book, whatever it was. I literally didn't even crack them. I sent it a prayer up, and I literally got a 76 out of 75 on my test the next day, and I was a licensed professional a week later. Okay, like, folks, broadleaf control, this control, I nuked every lawn, and I have no idea what I did, okay? And I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that, okay? I was number one producer for my route, number one new hire producer, like number one guy with commissions with upselling with aerations, gypsum, merit grub control. I was a sales guy. I love selling. And to go, like you said, Kel, to balance out, I wish I would have got a little bit more technical with my career over the last 15 years. And I'm sure other folks would say, man, I wish I, spent a little bit more time on the accounting finance side of things, or maybe the sales and marketing side of things, or maybe here's a real good one. And we're going to be talking about Launchpreneur Academy Live: systems, leadership, communication. Okay, that's a big one that I see a lot of folks struggling with. And people are like, well, I can't get my company to grow. And I'm like, well, maybe it's not about what Cat 305E you're picking out of the fleet. Maybe it's about you being a horrible boss and nobody likes to be around you. And people do business with folks that they know, like, and trust. And maybe people just don't want to know you, they don't like you, and they don't trust you. So
right, yeah.
It's like,
and your employees are scared to tell you that they backed over a shovel.
There you go. There you go.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm just infatuated with the opportunity that we have at our fingertips on our phone, or maybe on a God forbid you got to sit your butt in your desk chair, get a family sized box of goldfish. I always joke, and a 2-liter of Mountain Dew, and just pig out for an hour and a half and just binge. Or maybe you can eat a fresh garden salad. Okay, I don't care. But God forbid you got to do some e-learning, for a couple of hours and develop a skill set. I mean, it's right at your fingertips, and I think I'm just fascinated that you have this information available to you. And I say all the time, like, what's the old one, Caleb? Like, what's worse, somebody who can read and chooses not to versus somebody who can't read at all that wants to? Like these are gifts, folks. And just a little humility check. Like, you got access to the Hardscape Academy, the Launchpreneur Academy, and many other great folks have many other great resources out there for you. Just take advantage of that. Let their 5, 10, 20 years of heartache, mistakes, and even successes, speed ramp and on-ramp you to quicker success and growth with your company. Caleb, that's all I got. One final last question. I got to do my Joel Osteen wrap up, my last thing. When are we getting Hardscape Academy Live? Okay. Like we got Launchpreneur Academy Live, 300-400 people coming up here to Novi, Michigan. Everybody's always complaining it's cold. I got, you know, these grizzled veteran contractors. Everybody's a hardcore contract until they get up into Michigan. It's 35 degrees. I'm like, you wimps, you chickens, you know,
it is terrible.
All this fussy, all the wind's blowing and I got to pull out my Carhartt jacket. And I'm like,
breeze, it's awful.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, 40 degrees and sunny. I'm like, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. I'm like living the dream here. Okay. Hey, you got this beautiful facility and there's other great conference centers. I've been to some of the different conference centers in Columbus. You guys got some great options down there. Are we ever gonna get a Hardscape Academy Live where you can bring in a couple hundred guys and have some breakout sessions? You didn't ask me to ask this. I'm just genuinely speaking. I'm trying to plan.
Yeah,
come on, dude. Let's go.
Left field.
This is way different.
There is nothing in the works at the moment like that. I'm not saying there won't be ever, but at the moment, no. We're doing everything we can just to provide as much value. We do our 10-person in-person trainings and in our 20-person mastery class. So I think that's more of our wheelhouse, but you never know. We may get a wild hair and try to do something like that. But I don't know that has actually never been discussed here at Almond. But I'm not either. But no, there's no push on that at the moment. So,
all right. So
thanks for even bringing that up because now if I even mention that to Brittany, her gears will start turning on it. And, oh gosh, here we go.
My work here is done. I just plant the seed, bro. Like 11 months, 18 months from now, Hardscape Academy Live in Columbus, Ohio, you know? And dude, I cannot wait. I'll be the first one to buy the ticket and a breakout session ticket. Okay. Cause like you guys, you, and then of course the network of a bunch of great contractors, that you guys,
the people we get put together for that would be amazing.
That would be an all-star studded lineup. So if you don't do it, I'll license out the right to use the name and I'll go do it like a, Kiyosaki seminar, everybody's, does like they do the Rich Dad seminars, but like Robert Kiyosaki will not be present. It's in bold line, but
yeah, I know
they get to use the name and talk about the book for, the day.
Dude,
but
I went to those one time and was so disappointed Kiyosaki wasn't there. It was so frustrating. And he lost me after that. I was like, all right, I see what you're doing here, you dork.
Well, I'm going to license the
I like Kiyosaki, but that made me mad. Well, I missed that header or something. It was like, where's Kiyosaki? He's not even here. Now we're gonna try to sell you a bunch of stuff.
Well, I'm gonna do the Hardscape Academy Live. I'll license it to you. I'll give you $5,000, and then people that will not be present: Andy Mulder, Josh Sutton, Shelly, Caleb Brady, all men. So it's like, who's left? I don't know. We'll just stream live courses for 8 hours. Okay, but it's a community event. That's how we'll pitch it, right?
That sounds like a great racket. I love it.
Godly. All right, that's all I got. For real, I'm waiting in the wing for that idea. That's something I was thinking about just the other day, folks. Not only do I think about my business all day, I'm thinking about your business all day. And I keep telling Caleb, I'm like, if you finally get serious with this thing, you can finally make an impact. Like, get a couple million rolling in. Like, hello. And
yeah, well, that's us to leave opportunity on the table until like halftime. So yeah, that sounds about right.
Caleb's the guy that says, I want a new truck. I just also don't know how to get there just yet, even though he's sitting on a gold mine. And I'm thinking, dude, I would pay $200, $500 tomorrow to come sit at the feet of some of these folks, Caleb, Brittany, and many more, for an 8-hour day or two-day weekend kind of a seminar, man. So anyway, I know that one was definitely from left field. You didn't ask me to ask you that one. That was something that I was like, you know what? He's like, he's never thought about. Let's tell him what he needs to do next, folks. That's what we do.
Let's put another iron in the fire. Why not?
Yeah. You don't have enough going on just yet, so,
yep.
Unbelievable. All right. Hey, I'll give you an open mic, man. Final thoughts, anything you want to leave with these guys? But dude, we're coming up to an hour. Super appreciate the conversation today. And for any of you guys who want to learn a little bit more, I really implore you guys to check out everything Caleb and Brittany Allman. And I don't just say the Hardscape Academy, but it's really everything Caleb and Brittany Allman and Allman Landscape and all the different stuff that they put out, which is just second to none. So final thoughts, brother, and I'll let you button it up.
Thanks, Brian, always. And thanks everybody for listening and all that stuff. The Hardscape Academy, Kid Contracting Podcast, all that. I think my main thing and my main charge, like last night at my daughter's goat show, pygmy goats, all that stuff. They're one of the guys there's helped us with a lot of showing tips and all this stuff. Like, this dude loves pygmy goats, and he knows pygmy goats like I know hardscaping, I guess, maybe, whatever. That is what he loves, and he lets it consume him. And like, that's his legacy, right? He's helping all these kids learn how to show, and he sells goats, and he does this crazy stuff. Like, that's his thing. So I just want to encourage everybody, like, find your thing, right? And make that be your thing, right? That's your legacy, I guess, right? Like, so just find what you love and let it consume you. And Of course, not at the expense of anything that's really important in life, right? Obviously. I hate to always have to say the caveats, but the internet's trained me to that now. Mm-hmm. But, find what you love and freaking go after it, man. There's no excuse to suck at anything anymore. And that's kind of the deal anymore.
I love it.
That's it. Thanks, Brian.
All right, man. Well, guys, where can they find you guys on social? And then where can they find the Hardscape Academy and anything else you guys got going on?
Absolutely. The Kid Contractor Podcast. Thanks, Brian. AlmondLandscape.com is our company. Almond Landscape on Instagram, YouTube, all that junk. And then www.thehardscapeacademy.com. And just shoot us a DM. I'll help you out with anything I can on the hardscape stuff or whatever. Thanks.
Coaching calls too. You guys got those? I know people take advantage of those quite a bit.
Dude, we do that. And actually, I'll make sure, let's do a promo. Let's do Brian's 10 on any of the Hardscape Academy stuff, with the exception of the mastery training. I meant to mention this earlier. I totally forgot.
Yeah, whatever.
Let's do a Brian's 10 on it. I can't do that on the mastery. But hell, we'll do it on the in-person training stuff too. What the hell? Yeah, Brian's 10 on the stuff get you at least 10% off everything on the website. There you go.
Hey, anybody who uses Brian's 10, don't give me the 10%. Put it in the truck fund, because you deserve a nice truck more than anybody I know, bro. So I don't want to kick back. I'm not looking for that. But I will say, if you guys are going to be down at the Hardscape Mastery class, I'll be there for the first session. And then at the time this podcast comes out, probably 6 or 7 tickets left, because it's going to come out in a week. So I don't know how many they have left, but I would do anything I can to bug the snot out of those guys to get either A, get a ticket, or B, see if they can squeeze you in with an overflow or maybe somebody else that cancels out. All right. So
it really will be, Brian, it really will be incredible. We're giving away forms and form kits, and Andy and Jeremy bringing equipment, and our own guys will be here. Like a couple of Jeremy's best guys and my best guys will be here. They're going to be building stuff live, and we'll go out there and talk about building stuff. It's not going to be based on building. It's more business based, like how to actually succeed in hardscape business and business in general, and like what those guys are doing right and what they've learned the wrong way and all that kind of stuff. It is going to be a solid weekend. It is going to be incredible.
I'm looking forward to it. And I see that you expanded your parking spaces, so maybe I'll bring the camper after all, So
yeah, absolutely. Dude, we'll have hookups by then. Well, not everybody. No.
I'll boondock. Don't worry about it.
I was going to say, yeah. We'll have a hookup, not multiple.
You got the RV pad.
The county will get in big trouble.
Well, you have the camper pad for me for the full hookup, and then you have the helicopter pad for Mulder as he flies in, So
I just figured out the other day, I've got enough room for a helicopter pad out there still with the pond. So that legit happening. So.
And I will legit fly a helicopter within the next decade to your property. So that's all things that will happen, folks. Get around big dreamers, folks, and people that stretch you. So it's going to be good.
It's going to be fun. We'll do it. All right. Thanks, Brian.
All right, brother. Hey, have a good day. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. Guys, again, check out everything out that they got going on. We'll leave links in the description. Hope you guys had a beautiful day. Hope you guys have a beautiful week. And guys, we look forward to catching up with you here on the next one.
This is your invitation to Lawntrepreneur Academy Live 2023 in Novi, Michigan, Saturday, November 11th. The lineup is power-packed. You won't want to miss it. Learn from incredible speakers like Leroy Maines, Keith Kalfas, Caleb and Brittany Allman, Sam Gimble, Weston Zimmerman, and Jeff Joyner, just to name a few. Tickets are on sale now, and hurry because seating is limited to just 300.
Hey, what's up? It's Keith Kalfas. Get your tickets now for the 2023 Lawntrepreneur Academy Live.
Once you purchase your ticket, you'll be added to our private Facebook group, where you can network with other attendees, get access to the discounted hotel room block, and get the inside scoop for the Friday night party, brought to you by Kohler. Thank you to this year's sponsors, Xmart, Sure Track Trailers, Yard Book, and Boss Snowplow for helping to bring this incredible event to life. We can't wait to see you November 11th, Novi, Michigan, at Lawntrepreneur Academy Live 2023. Get your ticket today at lawntrepreneur.academy.com or use the link in the podcast description. Lawntrepreneur Academy Live.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.